Okay, so now we're in the live or pre-main course icebreaker time, where we'll talk to you a little bit and get ready to go. So what you see shared here is what we call the notes document, or just notes. It is a place where everyone can edit. So you can't see it on this share, but if you go up here, you can switch to an edit mode, and then you can write stuff here. So it's marked down. The exact format doesn't matter that much. But the important thing is if you take it, uh, and the only people that have it are people that have registered. So you should have just gotten a reminder email that also has this inside of it. Is that true? Okay,
Yeah.
yes. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you see icebreakers here. So the purpose of this is you can come and you can switch to edit mode and answer these questions, and we'll discuss. So for example, I just put an O right here to show that I'm very familiar with command line in shell. So it's sort of like a bar graph we're making collaboratively. So everyone go open this up, vote for whichever one there is, and we can get a idea of how we should be presenting stuff. So the questions are, how familiar are you with command line shell? Have you used version control before? What types of computers have you used for work before? Uh, what types of programming you do, and then just a free form question and answer. What kinds of scientific work do you do or think you do? Like whether it's machine learning stuff or physics or chemistry, whatever it may be. Okay, let's talk about what our answers for these would be. So first off, I'm Richard Darst. I work at Aalto University in the Aalto Scientific Computing team. And our job is basically to help you with uh, scientific computing kind of work. I guess you probably know that because that's why we're here giving this course. Um, so of these topics here, I'd say I'm probably very familiar with command line shell. I use it all the time and script in it. I've done plenty of version control before. Um, I've used mostly owned laptops, desktops, group servers, and high performance clusters. And my main programming is in Python and shell scripting. Um, Simo, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so hi everybody, my name is Simo Tuomisto. I'm a research software engineer in the Aalto Scientific Computing. So on the topics, I would say that I'm very familiar with the command line nowadays. I've worked in these topics for years now. Uh, have I used version control? Yes. In fact, just yesterday we were talking about anecdotes on where we learned some of these skills. And in my first summer job in Aalto University, my my supervisor wanted me to learn how to use version control, and that has definitely paid off. Like that was years and years ago. What type of computers have I used before? Like mainly, I do my work from my own laptop, and connecting from that to various other machines like HPC clusters and a remote desktop and such. So the laptop is the connection that I use to the wider computing world. But I would say that all of those are basically what I've used so far. My programming background is on physics side, but nowadays Python I would say is the one glue that glues most of the coding together. So I would say Python is my main language, and then I would say maybe C or shell scripting. I wouldn't know really, but yeah. basically whatever works for the specific case at hand.
Yeah, great. And Souza, what would you like to introduce yourself some?
Yeah, okay, hi. So I'm Susamet. I think the newest member still of the research
Hmm.
software engineering team. Um Regarding the icebreaker questions, well, I'm familiar with the command line. I've used it for a long time now, but I wouldn't say that I'm very familiar with it. There's certainly things areas I could still learn something about it. I've been using version control for a fair bit as well. Still sort of myth that I didn't use version control for my PhD studies,
Yeah.
but that's what it was back then. And well, I worked on my own computers, uh, laptops and desktop. I've worked remotely, and I've also worked on the cluster. Mm, Nowadays, that's just like Simo. I mostly do Python programming wise, but I've done a fair bit of other things. I've done MATLAB, I've done R, I've done C, um, I've done SDCC, if anyone knows about that. Stands for Small Devices C Compiler. It's for
Mm, hmm.
um, very close to hardware programming, and that's basically what there is to tell about me in terms
Yeah.
of computing, I think.
Okay. Cool. Enrico, would you like to introduce yourself some?
Yes, hello everybody. We still have a couple of minutes before kind of the official start. And before mentioning something about myself, I'm checking the answers that you've been writing. For those who join now, you should have received this notes document at notes.coderefinery.org. And there you can basically edit the document. It's like a Google Doc, but everyone can edit, but it's just text-based. And when it comes to me, I work with the same team as Richard, Susan, and Simo. And yes, I'm very familiar with the command line. I started in, I think it was 1983 with the Commodore 64. And the only interface was the command line. So
Wait,
that was,
1983?
yeah, I think that's when I got my
Oh,
first computer.
okay.
So, I mean, the commands that I was typing was more like load and then name of the
Hmm.
game. I don't remember now
Okay.
the
Yeah.
basic commands, but those were that was my first interface interaction with the computer.
Okay.
Even though
Yeah.
I was exposed because my dad with his job he also has access to one of these computers with punch cards. So
Mm-hmm.
I've seen also those back in the days,
Okay.
but more back to
Mm-hmm.
nowadays. Yes, the command line is maybe the most powerful tool. I will share a link
Yeah.
actually. There's a nice Nature paper that they show how important it is to learn the command line for
Mm-hmm.
all type of science. Version control, it's actually all the pages, the web pages that you see that we in our documentation or even the websites that we share sometimes, they're all actually based using, they're all written and shared through Git and GitHub. So even though Git is not just for, keeping track of your code, it can also be
Yeah.
very useful for publishing. And in general, I mean, bit of Python, bit of R, MATLAB. I used a lot of MATLAB in the past because with
Mm-hmm.
neuroscience, which is my background, we have lots of those tools. But great to see that many people are connected.
Yeah.
There's
And maybe,
41 people in this Edge Talk notes document. So if you feel that it's getting a bit slow, you can switch to the view mode. And what were you saying, Richard?
yeah. And I guess we're about to start. If we look at the icebreaker answers here, people are basically answering what we'd expect. So the audience as a whole seems to be at the right level for this course.
Yep.
So we are not talking about the prerequisites of most of these kind of things. They're important tools you'll use, but not the main topic of the course. Our main topic is this section right here. Although our team doesn't just support the cluster, we support everything that you see on this list. So as you'll learn later on, we have different help sessions where you can come and we're around to help with all of these things because we completely understand that computers are complex. There's just so many different things that people have to know and learn in order to do stuff. And that's why our team's funded. So you can focus on your work and we focus on the other stuff. With that being said, I guess it's time to start. So I believe it's
Yes.
Sousa and Enrico with the intro. So I'll
Yep.
hide myself and switch to Enrico's screen.